Hey everyone, welcome to the Stop, Drop, and Knit podcast, episode 62. My name is Lisa. I'm coming to you from Long Island, New York, and I got a new camera. I am so excited. I decided that my 2-year podcasting anniversary is coming up, and I decided it was time to treat myself and upgrade my recording equipment. These first 2 years of podcasting, I have just been recording on my iPhone, which in itself is one of the older model iPhones. So I was due for an upgrade of pretty much everything. Yeah, I mean, the phone was working great, but I just wanted to step it up a notch. I've been podcasting for 2 years now, so I figured that I'm not going to stop anytime soon. So it would be nice to have a little bit better quality of video for sharing projects with you all. And the other reason that I wanted to get a camera was because I'm hoping that within the next month, I am finally going to launch my shop selling my naturally dyed yarns. And so I wanted to be able to take nice photos of my yarns for the website. So yeah, I thought it was time, and I'm really excited. This is my first time testing out the camera, so bear with me in case anything goes wrong. Hopefully this video records smoothly, and yeah. I'm a newbie at this camera thing, and I'm pretty excited though. I noticed that my last video, there was a lot of interest in it, and so thank you guys all so much for watching. I think I have a bunch of new subscribers, which is always really nice to see. So hi, welcome. And of course, for everybody who has been with me for quite some time, thank you for coming back. I always love hearing from you in the comments below. As always, if you want to see more from me, you can visit my Ravelry. My username is LisaJack78, and I am on Instagram at Lisa Westervelt Flute Studio. So let's get into episode 62. So today I am wearing my worsted Boxy, which is a sweater by Locatelli. This is one of my favorite sweaters. I really enjoy when the weather is pretty perfect in between seasons to pull this one out. Because of the shorter sleeves on it, I don't tend to wear this one so much in the winter because it gets really cold here. I'm from Long Island. I think I forgot to say that earlier. So it does get quite cold here in the winter months. But right now we're having a lot of that in between weather. It was in the mid-60s today, and probably didn't really need to be sweater weather today, but any opportunity I get, I try to pull out one of my hand knits. You want to come here and say hi? Yeah, come here. This is my kitty, Samson. Samson is 16 years old, and yeah, he is my mush. He's my love. So he might pop on the screen from some time. So yeah, I'll insert some pictures, but I'll just do a quick little before the cat settles in my lap. I think that the camera is picking up the variations in the yarn really nicely. So yeah, I will insert some pictures so that you can get an idea of how the whole sweater fits on. Hi. And he's gonna distract me now. My kitty. So I used Malabrigo's Malabrigo Rios in the color Va, and you're very distracting. You are very distracting. Oh my goodness. I am not used to having a kitty podcasting with me. Come here. All right, why don't you just stay up here? So I used Malabrigo Rios for this pattern, which was the yarn that Joji Locatelli recommended, or at least the yarn that she used in her sample. And it is a worsted weight yarn, and I loved it. I loved working with it. It's very soft. The colors are not a usual choice for me, actually. I am a purple person, like all of this going on over here is more of what I tend to gravitate to. But I absolutely love these colors, and there's so much variation in different shades of green. I think the darkest is such a murky foresty olive green. It almost looks black, but it's not. And then there's some brighter shades of blue in here. And I just really love it. I think that the color complements me really well. And ever since I knit this sweater, I have been realizing that I can pull off green really, really well. So yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit more adventurous in my color choices. And this was kind of the sweater to get me thinking that I don't have to buy purple yarn all the time. So yeah, I love this sweater. I wear it all the time. I think most of us have knit some type of boxy sweater, but if you have not, I actually really recommend it. It's very flattering. There is so much positive ease. I don't know how much. So you can see there's so much positive ease. My body is here, and it just, the drape of this yarn is so lovely. So I'm sure that I will insert a couple of pictures for you guys to see how it actually really fits on me. This cat is going to be very distracting. So yeah, I think that I would knit this pattern again. It is extremely comfortable. It's like putting on just your most comfortable sweatshirt, but it's better because it's a sweater and it's a hand knit. And she has since come out with, I know, the lightweight boxy, which I think is a fingering weight version. So that's on my list to knit. And I recently completed her lace and fade boxy, which I wore on the podcast last week, the week before, so 2 episodes ago, I wore the lace and fade boxy. And that also, like the boxy shape is just very flattering, and it looks like a lot of knitting, but it actually is very soothing. It's a very soothing project. So yeah, I am sure I'm going to cast on another one of these, lightweight or worsted weight. I'm not really sure. It's my first boxy, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were not my last. So I have one finished object to share with you all. So let's move into finished objects. So my finished object is kind of a strange one. It really belongs in my knitworthy segment, but Owen is actually sleeping over with his cousin at my parents' tonight. They are going down this week to close on their house in South Carolina, so they wanted to have the boys over for a sleepover. So that's where he is tonight. But I have this guy who I finished. He's so bizarre looking. So this is Niffler. Niffler is a pattern from, he's a character from Fantastic Beasts. I have not watched Fantastic Beasts, but I guess it's like the precursor story to the Harry Potter stories. So the pattern came from this book, which is Harry Potter Knitting Magic. So it's more patterns from Hogwarts and beyond. So it also includes patterns from Fantastic Beasts. This was the second Harry Potter knitting book. Owen gave me the first one for Mother's Day a couple of years ago, and then I think that this one was like a belated birthday present from him as well. So I'm just trying to flip to the pattern. So this is Niffler, and he's all decked out here in shiny things like jewelry and money and anything shiny. I guess Nifflers really like shiny objects and money, and they are attracted to money. So his beak is like kind of funky. Like, I feel like this side looks really good, and then I don't know what happened over there. But he's kind of like this strange platypus, and he's got this big pocket here, and that's where he hides all the things that he steals, I guess, which is in the pocket. So I think so Owen's really happy with him. This was a little finicky. It was a little finicky to knit, especially like all of these fingers. So all of these fingers and toes and everything were pretty fiddly. It wasn't my favorite knit, but Owen really likes it, and I was glad to make it for him. I think he is actually thinking about being Niffler for Halloween. So I need to get on that because today is October 15th. So I've got 2 weeks to sort this all out with the Halloween costume. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not any knitting going to be involved, but I don't think it'll be that complicated. But yeah, I gotta get on the Halloween costume. I gotta get on that train so that it can become a reality. I thought that it would be really cute though if he were a Niffler for Halloween and he had like some kind of pouch that he could like stuff a bunch of candy in. So we'll see how that comes together. Yeah, so this is Niffler, and he's totally wonky, but he's cute. So that is my one and only finished object. So let's move on to whips. So last episode was a pretty huge episode. I had so many projects to share with you guys. So this week I don't have nearly as much, and that's because Stephen West's MKAL started. I'm gonna wait and talk about that in a little bit. So don't go turning off my podcast just yet if you don't want any spoilers. Don't worry, I have another project to share with you first before I get into that. But most of my knitting time this week was honestly spent working on Clue 1 of the MKAL, but I did get my Easy V sweater to like the next stage, and so I wanted to share that with you guys. I actually recorded, just to test out my camera a little bit, I recorded some footage of me knitting on it a few minutes ago because I had to get it. It was all scrunched up on one needle. I don't have a very long cord, and this is it's a worsted weight sweater with color work, so there's a lot of bulk right now in all my needles. But I needed to do some short rows, and then the next step of it is getting it onto waste yarn or to longer circulars so that you can steam it and then try it on to determine if the length is good before you split for the sleeves. So I haven't steamed it yet, but I just finished my short rows, and so I spread it out on 2 needles so that I could share it with you guys. But this is my Easy V, and this is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. And let's test out my camera and see. I'll focus in on it really nicely, I hope. So I am really, really loving how this is knitting up so far. Last episode, I told you guys how I chose all of my colors, so I'm not going to get into that too much today, but I will just tell you briefly what I'm using in case anybody hasn't seen last week's video. So for the main color, I had about 900 yards in my stash of Quince & Co. Lark, which I had gotten from somebody's D-stash, and it is this beautiful, beautiful color here. I don't know yet how to turn on. There we go. Oh, look, we're focusing. I just had to block my face out. Ah, this new camera is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Let's do that again. Just because I can now. Look at that. Okay, so this is actually my first ball, and I have pretty, did I start ball 2 yet? I don't think so. Maybe I did. I'm confused. I forgot. This could be ball number 2, the second skein. I might have finished the first one. I haven't knit on it that much this past week, so I'm totally forgetting where I left off with this. But that is my main color, and I think it's called Marsh. And so I have no idea if this is available anymore. I got it in a D-stash a few years ago, pre-pandemic. So I don't know if this colorway is still available. I'm assuming that they still make Lark. I'm assuming, but don't take my word for it. So that's what I'm using for my main color. And then Caitlin Hunter's design, she used 3 different colorways of Spin Cycle. And it's a worsted weight sweater, so there's 2 different types of the Spin Cycle that changes all the colors. There's the dyed in the wool, and then I think the worsted weight version is called Dream State. I think. I could be wrong about that. I've never bought the worsted weight version. So I'm actually not using Spin Cycle, but instead I decided to use one of my most recent hand spun yarns. And I like to call this like an autumn sunset. And the colorway just reminds me of a sunset in autumn. It's so beautiful. So this is my own hand spun, and it's from Frabjous Fibers, which is the fiber portion of Wonderland yarns. And I spun this, I think I finished it, I started it last autumn. It was a limited edition colorway. It's actually called Sweater Weather, but I don't think that this color is still available because it was limited edition last October 2021. But I finished spinning it over the summer or late spring, I don't remember exactly, and I knew that I wanted to use it this fall in a project. And so I had 4 of these, and so what I'm doing is I'm holding it double. I would be really curious if I have some left over or not. I want to try knitting it just on its own without holding it double. Just to see how it knits up, because I think it's so beautiful, and like the Spin Cycle, it has like those long color changes. But when I'm holding it double, a lot of the colors are getting kind of mushed together. Oh, I'm gonna have so much fun playing with this autofocus feature. So let me hold up my sweater so you can see. Now I haven't steam blocked this yet, so I'll do that, and I'll insert some footage of me doing that and what this looks like steam blocked on this video so that you guys can see it. So it's all kind of bumpy right now because it's not blocked at all, but you can see how those colors are playing together. So I think it's really, really beautiful. I really love how this is working out. And so then for the other two colors, I decided to use my naturally dyed yarn. As I said last week, I don't have a lot of worsted weight yarn in my stash, but I am testing out a brand new base, and it's a worsted base. And so I had just dyed some with some goldenrod leaves. And so this is my goldenrod leaf dyed yarn, which I thought would pick up the yellow in my hand spin really beautifully. And then the other one, I'm gonna get my other hand spun that has more purple. The other one that I had just dyed up also, it's falling apart, was with avocado. And avocado's tricky, but with this time that I dyed with it, I managed to get like the most gorgeous shade of pink with like a purplish tint to it. And I just thought it would pick up the pink and purple tones in my hand spun really, really well. So I think you guys can see. It's so pretty. I love it so much. And so these three together are the colors that I'm using for my color work sections. So yeah, I had just, last time I showed you guys, I was just getting into the goldenrod down here after my hand spun. And so I finally managed to finish the yoke this week. And then just before I started recording, I finished the short rows and spread this out on 2 needles. And so I'm gonna steam it. And then she recommends trying it on. Probably I'm gonna have to put it on waste yarn to do that, because even with this on 2 needles, I'm a little bit worried that I'm gonna lose some stitches if I try to put it on. And I don't have any, actually maybe I have some stoppers from my interchangeable set. Maybe I could try that. But it might be safer for me to just put it on waste yarn and determine whether my yoke depth is satisfactory to my liking, or if I want to knit a little bit more before splitting for the sleeves. I have a feeling that it's going to be fine like it is. I have a very short torso and long legs, so I have a feeling it's probably exactly where it needs to be. I didn't knit a swatch, so maybe I should follow her instructions for this part just to be sure that it's fitting the way that I want it to, which I'm hoping it's going to be nice and oversized and slouchy off the shoulder a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that is one of only 2 whips that I have to share with you. Hey y'all, okay, it is actually a few hours later, and as you can see, I have moved on to my evening beverage. So, if you have not already grabbed yourself a drink, go ahead and do that, whether it is tea, coffee, water, beer, like me, or wine. Okay, so this is your warning. If you do not want to have clue 1 spoiled of the twists and turn make along, leave now and come back in a little bit. I'll put a timestamp here. Okay, so I am now going to share my progress and my thoughts on Stephen West's Twist and Turns Make Along Clue 1. It is so interesting. It is really, really cool. Okay, it's also very slow. I've not finished, but that's okay because now I am close. Today is actually Saturday. We're just after midnight now, so I took a few hours of a break, but I am back recording now. Yeah, I got a little bit of a late start. I actually started on time. I shouldn't really say late start as opposed to a slow start. I took my time starting Clue 1, and I didn't quite realize how involved it was going to be with how much time each of the repeats was going to take. So, all right, let me hold up what I have done. I am actually right at the finishing line for Clue 1, so I'm going to work on it in a few minutes here, but this is what we have. And it is really, really, really cool. So, this is now every single repeat of Clue 1. As you can see, it is a very interesting chevron pattern. What is hard to see, unless I hold it up like this, is that there's all of these loose loops over here. I'm going to stop talking for a second while the cat uses the litter box because we don't need to hear that. Hi, Sam, are you finished? Okay. So all of these loops right here, what makes Clue 1 so time consuming are these loops because of all of the casting on and binding off that happens every 4 rows. So every row is only, like, each stripe is only 4 rows, but the first row of each stripe you're casting on several times, right? Let's see, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 different sections of these loops. So each time on the first row of a repeat, you have to cast on those stitches, and then on the 4th row of that repeat, you've got to bind them off. So it's very finicky and it's very slow. I do have to say that while it starts out very, very slow and finicky, it gets easier. At first, you have to pay so much attention to your stitch count, to exactly what you're doing. When you only have a couple of rows over here, it's very, like, there's not a lot of fabric to hold on to, right? So it's like this weird little caterpillar type thing. And you know, you really can't, there's not a lot to grasp onto, but as you do every repeat, like, not that you can memorize it, you can, but at least for me, what I had to do was I had to at least always know the directions for the start of each row that I was on. So there's like 8 different rows that you need to have different directions for. And then once I got going on each of those rows, it was fine. It's really easy to remember for the duration of that row. But it's not like I could just skip looking at the pattern. Like, I always had to say, okay, now I'm on this row. What am I supposed to do for this row? So, but it is not difficult. it's very finicky at first. It is easy. Anybody could do it. But, you know, the cable cast on, I got a lot better at it. I have to say, I feel like I'm an expert now at the cable cast on after doing it so many times. Oh my gosh. That's like one of those things where I've done the technique before, but it's not something that I do so often that every time I do it, I have to have a refresher on what exactly do you do for a cable cast on? How does that work? And then as soon as I see how to do it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I've done that before, right? I don't know that I'll ever forget it now because I've now done it more times this week than I have done in like 5 lifetimes. I don't know. So I'll share with you my colors. So I am knitting mine. I talked about this last week. In my last episode, I shared all about my process for how I selected my colors for this. So if you haven't seen that and are interested in like my thought process and how I chose my colors, go back and watch episode 61. But I knit this in Wonderland yarns, and I am using their Marianne base. A disclaimer here, or full disclosure, or I don't know what I should say, but I am a brand ambassador for Wonderland yarns, and so they provided me with the yarn to knit this pattern. And if you would like to save 15% on your order from Wonderland yarns, also includes fiber from Frabjous fibers, because it's all the same company. You can use the code YARNVIP, and that will save you 15% off almost everything on the site. I think kits and special clubs and things are not included in that, but most everything else is. So if you are interested in trying out their yarns, which I happen to really love, I use them for a lot of things, then go save yourself a little bit of money on it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the colors that I am using. Let's get a close-up here of, I want to see if you can see the speckles in between the sections. So the first color that I chose for this is called Toadstool, and this is one of their newest colors, just from this past fall. And I don't have it in the skein anymore. I've already wound both of mine into cakes, but it's basically like a cream or a very light tan base. I would say a little bit more on the cream side, and there's a lot of speckles that are kind of heavy on the fuchsia. There's a little bit of blue, there's a little bit of like a pine or foresty green in there, and a couple little hints of a darker brown. Like, let's see, I'll focus in on that right there. There's like a darker brown speck. So this is actually my contrast color, and then my main color is called Tulgey or Tulgey, Tulgey, Tulgey Wood, and it's like a really deep dark brown with a little bit of variegation in it, but not too much. And so these two colors together are like this. And then in Clue 1, obviously we're not using the contrast color, but I leaned into those fuchsia speckles, and so this is my contrast color. So my color scheme for the Twists and Turns KAL is 1000% totally Lisa. It is me. This is my favorite color. Purple is my favorite, but this fuchsia color is actually my favorite shade of purple. You can actually see in my blanket over here, it is represented right there. There is no shortage of fuchsia in my life, you guys. So I hear that we're using this in Clue 2, so I'm excited to finally dig into this one. But for now, we've just used these two colors together. And I'm sorry I keep holding them so close to the camera, but I am really having fun with the focus feature on this. So yeah, so I think, so that's my color scheme. What I am up to right now is the next thing is an I-cord bind off. And so I am going to go ahead and film some of that. I mean, it's going to take a while, so I won't make you guys sit through that whole thing. But then I want to show you how he braids the loops in this. All of these loopy things here are going to come together in a really cool braid, and then the final effect is so cool. This clue has gone pretty slowly for me. I lost Wednesday. I was not feeling well, and I actually, after I put Owen to bed, I went to bed myself. So I lost an entire day of my knitting time, because most of my knitting time happens in the evenings after Owen is in bed for the night. I am a night owl, and so that is like my time to knit and stay up. So when I went to bed on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, I really gave up like 3 or 4 hours of knitting time on this shawl. And I think that's really the thing that put me the farthest behind. I just now finally watched the tail end of Steven's video for Clue 1, and he did say that Clue 2 is a little bit less intense. He might have said easier. I didn't think that this was difficult. So easier I think is relative. If some of these techniques are new to you, it might seem pretty difficult. Like the cable cast on is a little tricky, but you do it so much that even if you are completely new at it when you are starting this, you'll be an expert at it by the time you get all the way through Clue 1. So I am going to just probably put a little bit of music on for you guys and work on this bind off here. And then I'm going to come on and show you guys how to do the braiding of these loops, which is really cool. And then I will show you the entire finished Clue 1. Okay, so for the I-cord bind off, knit 2 together through the back loop, slip 3 onto the left needle, knit 2 together through the back loop, slip 3 onto the left needle, and repeat for forever. Let's do it, guys. Knit 2 through the back loop, slide to the left needle. gonna take forever. I-cord bind off requires an adult beverage. Just saying. It requires it. So I've already been at this for like a good solid 5 minutes, and this is how much we've gotten bound off. There's only all of this to go. So I'm gonna throw on a podcast while I do the rest of this, but in the meantime I am going to film my little acquisition section. And then I'm just gonna chill, and I will finish this bind off. I will show you guys how to do the braiding thing when I get up to it, and this is kind of gonna take forever, so yeah, I'll show it to you guys forever from now. Okay, let's move on to acquisitions. So it has been an exciting week for acquisitions, actually, because my parents went on a cruise to a lot of different European countries, but Norway was one place that they went, and so they picked me up some yarn for my birthday, because my birthday was just a few weeks ago. I'm going to save that for last, though, because I have just a couple of other things I want to show you quickly first. So yesterday I went to the post office and picked up 2 packages. Actually, technically, my husband went for me and picked them up because he was in the area, and I was not. So he picked up for me my Knitterly Things October Sock Club of the Month. And so I got a couple of really lovely skeins of sock yarn from Miss Julia. So I subscribe to both of her sock yarn clubs. She has 2, one of which is open quarterly. And I think the signups were in September for the last quarter. So if you're interested in, actually, if you are interested in either or both of these clubs, make sure you sign up for her newsletter or just check Instagram, Knitterly Things, in December. Because I'm pretty sure that December is when she will be making her announcement for the New Year's clubs. And the Remix Club, which is this one, you can only subscribe to yearly, and that happens in January. So Julia's Remix Club is when she reimagines colors from previous years into new and not necessarily improved, but just reimagined colorways. This one for September 2022 is her Autumn Sky Remix, and this is on her base that is 75% superwash wool with 25% nylon, and it is 400 yards of self-striping goodness. So these are the beautiful colors this month. Definitely can see an autumn sky there. It's absolutely beautiful. She gives you a choice when you sign up for her clubs. You can opt to have a mini included or not, and so there's a slight price difference to have the mini included or not. So I have them included. I don't use them all the time with that pair of socks. And if I don't use it, then I just save the minis, and I often use them in a different project. I don't tend to buy minis, so this is kind of my way of just stocking up and having some minis on hand to use in projects, because I don't always use them for the socks. I like to sometimes, and sometimes I don't. So that is her remix club. And then her club, her main sock yarn club that you can subscribe to quarterly is her Vesper sock yarn club. And this one, I think September was the last time you could sign up for 2022. So the next sign up should be in December. This one is called Vibrance, and vibrant these colors are. I am loving my camera for how amazingly this shows up. This is on a different base than the last one I showed you. If you can see, this is on her glitterful base, which has a bit of stellina in it. I can see the sparkle. The camera's picking it up really well, which is really fun. So this one, obviously, there is no sparkle in it. And I don't think sparkle would really look right in this base. But on this one has lots of sparkle, and it's so pretty. So just like you can opt to have the minis included, you also have your choice of base. So if you really like to have sparkle in all of your socks, you can choose to have sparkle in all of your socks. And if you don't want any sparkle in your socks ever, you can also choose a base that has no sparkle in it. I do the dyer's choice option, which means I just let Julia decide, because these decisions are too difficult for me to make, because I just love all of her yarns. They are all amazing. I love them all equally, and she always chooses well. So I have knit up many of her socks, and I'm pretty sure at this point that I have knit up every base, probably, or almost every base. I think the only one I haven't knit up is the one that has the zebra twist in it, but that's kind of coming up in my queue, because Owen wants his next pair of socks on one of the colorways that she did in that base, so that's coming up soon. Yeah, so this is what I received from Miss Julia for October. Actually, September. Guys, these clearly say September. So the thing that Julia does is she spends the month dyeing up that month's colorway, and then you receive it. She sends it out at the end of the month, and you receive it at the start of the next month. So I misspoke. It is not October. It is September. So that is my Knitterly Things yarn. And then the other thing that I have to show you before I dive into my Norway yarns is Susan B. Andersen again, every month. Not every month, but almost every month. Guys, this last one, I got both kits. I showed this one to Owen. This one is her Good Bunny kit. I'm gonna sneeze, hang on. Susan B. Andersen recently released her Good Bunny kit. Let's see if I can get there we go. So, this little bunny. All right, so what she is doing now, I got 2 kits because these are like mini kits. So these were kind of like 2 for the price of what I usually spend for one. Not always. Often, but not always. So what she does for these cute little Good Bunny kits, oh my goodness. While I work on opening this, I'm going to insert some pictures so that you can see why I had such a difficult time deciding which one I wanted. And of course, I made the mistake of asking Owen which one he wanted, and he just wanted everything, as always. So I got both bunny colorways. So this one here, obviously the colors, so gorgeous. So this, I want to say that this is probably her fingering yarn base, because these are some mini bunnies. So she gives you enough yarn to make the little bunnies and the outfits this time. Oh my goodness. All right, so what she's starting to do now is like create a line of little animals, and they have little outfits and little clothes, and the clothes can be kind of like interchanged between the animals. So it's kind of like one wardrobe that's gonna happen, but you can mix and match like which of your cute little animals wear it. Oh my God, it's so stinking cute. So that was the first colorway. And then the other one, which was so cute too, and I really loved this one too. These were the colors for the other one. Can you all see why I couldn't decide? They both have purple. Owen's favorite colors are orange and blue. My favorite colors are pink and purple. I mean, look at all of these colors together. Yeah. I really don't buy every kit that she puts out. I know it seems like I do, but I don't. But then she also gives you, like, I'll pull out here, she gives you a little card with a download card for the pattern. You don't have to buy her kits. She releases the patterns. You could just go buy her patterns and use your own yarn and knit these adorable little animals. But let me tell you, if you have never worked with her wool before, so she's Barrett Wool Co. So this is her label right there, Barrett Wool Co. So you can follow her on Instagram, both at Barrett Wool Co. and Susan B. Andersen. She has 2 handles. But with the kits, like, she also gives you the little extras that you need, like for the eyes and for the little yarn for the facial details and everything. And it's just the right amount of yarn that you need, so you don't have to think about it. Her yarn, though, is beautiful. The colors are gorgeous. As you can see, the colors are amazing, but it's rustic, but it is soft, but it's rustic, and it's all American wool too. So I really like that because, you know, local stuff. She is like the queen of stuffed animals. And I'm about to actually knit one. I have knit some before. I'll actually insert a couple of pictures to prove it, because I know I keep telling you guys that I have knit her patterns before, but I've never shown you because it was pre-podcast. So I have knit her. She had a little hedgehog, which I have knit several of. I use them for my younger flute students. They're the perfect little size to fit inside for flute hand position. I'll insert a picture. It's hard to explain, but flutists, when they're starting out, it's like really awkward and they don't know how to hold their hands, and they always lean their fingers against the keys. And so those little hedgehogs they were just perfect. They just fit right in there. And then I knit a friend of Owen's from preschool, from his pre-K class. His friend's mom had another baby. She's actually having another one soon. We haven't been in touch with them recently. Like, I haven't seen them in a while, but a few years ago, this was like right at the start of the pandemic or just pre-pandemic, she had a baby, and so I knit her some little woodland critters to go with her nursery theme. It was also Owen's nursery theme. His was woodland critters. So cute. So I knit a little fox and a raccoon and a squirrel. And the squirrel had little nuts that it put in its pouch. It was the cutest little thing. So I've got some pictures. I'll insert those. I need to update my Ravelry page actually with the pictures, because right now those little animals have no pictures with them. So I need to put those in because they're so cute. So I have knit her patterns. I just haven't actually officially knit a kit yet, but I'm going to. I keep saying I'm going to, but then like she keeps releasing another really stinking adorable pattern before I get around to knitting one. Anyway, let's go to the Norway yarns, you guys. I'm very excited for this. I just say, I hope that I'm looking at the camera. I'm trying, like I have a viewfinder. I'm hoping this is going to be better than when I'm recording on my phone. Because when I'm recording on my phone, it was really hard to tell like where the camera was. And I would always just look at myself because I'd record in selfie mode. Now though, hopefully I'm like looking at you guys. I hope I'm looking at you guys. I have a viewfinder, so like when I'm showing you guys stuff, I can look, but I'm really trying. I feel like now I finally have a place to look. This is great. Okay. I am so proud of my mom. She did amazing with this yarn shopping trip in Norway. So they were on a cruise, and when you go on a cruise, apparently, I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't get to go cruising all over Europe or anything. I have been on one cruise in my life, and that was when an ex-boyfriend's family paid for a Disney cruise, and so that was fun. It was like 3 days or something. But yeah, my parents go on cruises. They're retired, so they can do things like that. They've earned it. But apparently when you go on these cruises, you get to have like just a little bit of time off the ship, but not very much. So like they went to Sweden, they were in Finland, they were in all these places where you should be able to find yarn very easily, but they didn't have time to go shopping. But they actually, when they got to Norway, they were able to spend a few days in Norway, and so they made it to a yarn shop. I don't know the name of it, but they said it was in Bergen and it was in the train station. So I feel like by watching my Norwegian podcasters that I've heard about this yarn shop in the train station in Bergen. So yeah. So my mom, she knows that I like to find things that are local to the area. So she knew to ask for yarn from Norway and dyed in Norway, right? So Norwegian wool, dyed in Norway. She said the very first display she found was a bunch of really beautiful yarn, but it was like made in Paris. And she's like, well, I didn't come to Norway to like buy yarn from Paris, right? I mean, that would be amazing too, but I wanted Norway yarn. So the very first thing when I opened the bag was some Sadness yarn, and this is the Peer Gynt. Let's see if this will, are you gonna focus or not? There we go. So I was not at all surprised that she picked this out for me because being a musician, my mom is also a musician, so I'm a professional flutist. My mom is an amateur violinist, but she majored in music in college, but she taught for a while before I was born in like music education in public schools. I actually teach at a college and I perform. So if you know classical music at all, you might have heard about the Peer Gynt suite by Grieg. And so I was not surprised when the very first thing that I pulled out of the bag was the Peer Gynt yarn. So I'm really excited about this. I got 2 skeins of it, and they are both 100% Norsk ull, so Norwegian wool, I'm imagining is what that means. And I've never worked with Sadness Garn. I know it's a very popular commercial brand, and yeah, so I'm really excited to use this, probably in color work and mittens or a hat or something. But that wasn't all that she got me. She got me also, no, I'm never going to be able to say this, but this is a natural, it's 100% Norsk ull, so I don't know how to speak Norwegian. I am part Norwegian, actually, but it's Hillesberg Ullverk Fabrik. I don't know, but it's Hillesberg. It's Vilje, Norsk Lammelgarn. So lamb's wool yarn, I think. Anyway, I'll show you the label. So this is the label. And it's very beautiful. It's locally, I could kind of read the Norwegian even though I don't speak Norwegian at all. I can tell that it says locally produced in locally produced yarn since 1898, Hillesberg. Yeah, I can't read the rest of it. I'm studying Korean, not Norwegian. But anyway, this is just, it's a very, very beautiful, I'm imagining that this is just a natural color of sheep, which I love a lot. So she also got me two skeins of this. Each of these are, how many grams is this? It's 100 grams. So this is actually quite a bit more. So this is both 100 grams. All right. So it gets even better. And let me tell you, I'm not going to use any of this yet because she got me more and she's not giving it to me until Christmas. Can you believe it? I have to wait until Christmas. And I know it's the same yarn. It's just different colors. And I told her, I said, well, I can't knit with any of this now because I need to wait and know all of the colors that I have to work with so that I can use it all together in some amazing colorwork project. So, okay, here we go. So the next thing she got me was also naturally dyed. I was so impressed. I was so impressed with her shopping because I do the natural dyeing. So she got me wool, not only that was dyed in Norway, but naturally dyed. And so, all right, this is really, really cool. So she got me two of these. So let me read it. It says Løvstakken garn. I have no idea. That's the brand. Garn, I know means yarn. But it says handfarget med plantfarge of Jana Lamika in Bergen. So she bought it in Bergen. And I can tell that that says hand dyed with plant colors, right? So with like natural materials. And it's got a base. It's 100% Norsk lamb's wool, 100 grams, and this one is dyed. And I looked at this and I was like, I actually know that must say cochineal. And I'm excited about this because I've never dyed with cochineal. Cochineal is those little tiny bugs that are on, I think it's the prickly pear or something. It's one of those natural dye materials that you actually have to purchase. So I've not used it yet because I've only dyed with materials that I have foraged locally myself. So I have not yet delved into the world of like purchasing dyes, natural dyes to use. But I'm going to get there pretty soon. So I have two of these. They're so pretty. Beautiful color. And then the same exact brand, she got me two of this color. And so this one is also cochineal, but it also says cochineal, and it's got like a Roman numeral 3. This one has a Roman numeral 2. So what I'm guessing is that this was probably like dye bath number 2. And then this was like the exhaust bath, but then it says plus pores, P-O-R-S, and I do not actually know what course is. So, I haven't looked it up. I could probably look it up, but do I have any Norwegian viewers that can tell me, besides cochineal, what was this dyed with? So it's beautiful. So these are the two colors that she picked out to give me for my birthday. And then there's more. This is actually only, it says 50 grams. So I only have 100 grams total on this. And I think what she did was, the label says 100 grams, but she must have like split her Norwegian wool into 250-gram skeins. And this, so it's 50 grams each. So I have 100 grams total of each of two colors. So this was my yarn. So I have like all of this from Norway, plus the Sadness Garn Peer Gynt yarn. Yeah, and so there's more colors of, I'm pretty sure it's this, but it could be this too, coming for me for Christmas. So I'm not going to knit with any of that yet. So we will stay tuned on that for a few months until I get the rest of the colors. I was like, you're moving to South Carolina. I think I should take it all now so that it stays safe and doesn't get misplaced or lost in the move. She wasn't buying it. She wasn't going to give it to me. So that was kind of frustrating, but okay. So that is all of my acquisitions. Pretty good ones this week, you guys. I made it, you guys. It's 3 o'clock. It's 3:02. I am exhausted. But I finally bound off this big bad baby. Oh my goodness. So we've bounded off. I honestly don't have the bandwidth right now to show you guys how to do the really awesome little braidy thing with the loops. So I promise to show you guys that tomorrow. It will be in this video. But I gotta say, that was a long bind off. It was also a long cast on. So I guess it makes sense. This was a lot, you guys, but I really do like it. I like my colors. I'm exhausted. I am going to sleep. I will include a little bit more footage tomorrow. And thank you guys for watching. Until then, bye. Hey everyone. It is actually Monday now. So the rest of the video I recorded on Saturday evening, very late. But I got really tired and I didn't get back to my twists and turns shawl until just now. You guys remember I said I was exhausted, but I just did the and Sam is here too. You can see the top of his head. Hi. I just did the very first little braid in my shawl. So these loops, I wanted to show you how he does it. It's really simple. So I'm actually going to put this down on the table and turn the camera around and like just shoot a little video of how to do this. It's a very cool and very easy effect. I should record during the daylight more. This is much better than the lighting from the other night, but when you record in the middle of the night, you just have artificial light and that's it. So yeah, and I want to finish this up because I mean it's Monday. Clue 2 came out on Thursday, so I need to finish this so that I can take a picture of it and then start working on Clue 2 today so that I don't get any farther behind. Any further behind. There we go, I think. Than I already am. So, oh my gosh, it's so good though, right? Ah, I love it. Ah, my camera is fun too. Okay, so I am going to flip the camera around and I will show it to you again when it is all done. So, all right, let's do it. Okay, so I think I'm kind of on camera now on the floor. Yeah, so it's very, very easy. I don't think that this part though is on camera. I need to go this way. All right, so as much as you guys would like to see me, you would rather see the shawl. So let's put this down. There we go. All right, so the very first thing is you're gonna twist this bottom loop. You're just gonna twist it like that. And then, I'm doing this actually upside down now. You're gonna put the one above it through, and then put the next one above it through. And we're just gonna keep going like that. So you see how that braid is starting to form. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. See if that works. Can you see how that braid is forming? I think I need to get a way to film from up above next on my list. So it's really, really simple. You're just pulling one loop through the next until they're all there. That's it. Really, really easy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the rest of those. And then we'll be able to take a picture. It's really cool. It looks really like dimensional, right? It's really, really cool. All right, next one. So that's it. All of my braids are done. And now we're apparently going to be doing something with these loopy things. I think include two, but they're pretty secure. And if they slip out, it's not a big deal. It's easy enough to lace it back up like that. But this is what I've got so far. Oh my goodness. It's really cool. Let's look up close. And I think now with the daylight, you can actually really see the colors very well too, which is really nice. So it's not just like dark brown and white, but there's all of those beautiful speckles in there. So I'm excited to bring the fuchsia pop into Clue 2. So yeah, all right, so that's my update. Now I'm gonna finally get going on Clue 2. So I will see you guys in a bit. Bye. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.